Welcome back to the studio. Today, we're going to be diving into a handful of films. My goodness. There's actually so much out right now. It's so difficult to keep up with, if I'm being very honest. If I'm being very honest, I am struggling to make sense of all the stuff that's going on in film and production these days because let's break it down. You have AI that's fundamentally shifting how the industry, how creative production works, right? You have studios scrambling because some studios are making bangers. Some studios are making complete box office flops. And then you have some studios that are just kind of always lived in the middle. You know, kind of like A24, that doesn't really matter if they do great or horrible. They don't like go too crazy, so they always kind of just win. The indie market's going crazy. The YouTube market is on fire. Everyone wants to be something they're not. This art form of filmmaking is all over the place. And it's hard to keep track of. But we're going to try, and today we're going to be covering 4 different areas. We're going to talk about Tom Cruise and the crazy stunts he's willing to put himself through for the art, for the craft, for the purpose of entertainment of the audience, right? We're also going to be diving into a little bit of out of nowhere, the Batman Part 2 news, covering a little bit of Matt Reeves. We're also going to be looking at the Conjuring, The Last Rites. They dropped a trailer for that. It's currently trending on YouTube, and it is pretty good. I think this might be the last. I don't know if it's the last of the Conjuring universe, but it's definitely, you know, the 2 characters, the man and woman, you know, the demon hunters, the demon investigators that these films, a lot of them have been about or that they've involved. This is apparently their last Conjuring universe film, at least is what it's being portrayed as. So we're going to look a little bit into the backstory of all that. And we're also going to be taking a look about Netflix. Netflix is slowly transforming. It's slowly transforming into something that it never has been. No one's asking it to be, but they think that everyone wants this. And so they are slowly transforming. We're going to talk about if that's good, if that's bad. We're going to get into all of it. But if you are new here, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, X, or Rumble, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do on the platform that you choose to watch this on or that you choose to listen to this on. I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and dive right into Tom Cruise. So, Mission Impossible 8 is coming out in literally like 2 weeks. And this is like probably my film of the year. I love Mission Impossible. I think it's a great time. I've always enjoyed Mission Impossible. I'm pretty sure the first Mission Impossible came out before I was born. Let's take a look. When was the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible released? In May 22nd of 1996, 1 year after I was born. I was literally almost 1 year old when the first Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise came out. And I watched it probably when I was like 8, the first one. I watched it when I was pretty young, and I was hooked. I love the idea of spies. It's a great time. And this is going to be Mission Impossible number 8. And as you all know, if you've watched any videos online, if you keep up with these films, or if you've seen anything I've done about Mission Impossible, that he always goes crazy. I mean, with most films, he does crazy stunts. Everyone knows this, but he seems to step it up a little bit when it comes to Mission Impossible. I think it's because it's a franchise that he kind of resurrected, right? He took an IP that was kind of stagnant. No one was doing anything with it, and he kind of resurrected it, created the Ethan Hunt character, and so, yeah. But Let's take a look at some of these stunts. He does, I believe, 3 main stunts when it comes to this upcoming film. And one of them, we're going to start with a skydive. But the skydive's actually kind of interesting, the way they're filming it. Take a look.
We're going to go 10,000, but if we can get 12,000, we'll go 20 knots forward. What I'd like to do is accelerate the next jump, and I'd like to kind of do it as quickly as possible, the next one, and I'll build up to it, go faster, 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 and put myself into a worst case scenario. And how fast does it take me to recover, which all of these cases are recoverable.
Okay,
let's put this on.
So they're filming him talking, honestly, nonsense. I feel like everyone that's met Tom Cruise has always talked about how he's just there. He's like hyper focused on the task. So if you come into something that he's, a production or planning for a stunt or filming, like no one knows what he's talking about, putting himself in the worst case scenario. Like, we don't have context for this, Tom. That's fine. Let's see what he's about to do.
Let's check the frame again.
Yeah.
Sick.
My hand position.
Look at that.
It's good.
They have some kind of rig on his waist that's pointing directly at
There you go. You can even
his
hold it a little
torso,
lower there.
right?
Just know I'm going to be like this.
Okay.
My head I'll be like this.
That's better. It gives you a lot more margin for error.
Let's talk about safety. Do the
Nice.
same exit. I'll be in an accelerated spin.
Really, what do we want to see in this frame?
You want to see me falling.
Yes.
And then I throw.
So maybe he was talking about an accelerated spin. So he's basically saying I'm going to spin quickly while falling, right? That seems, and they want to capture it with this I don't know, this waist rig that's pointing directly at his face.
Oh, it's like, oh, okay, let's do it, guys.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh. Oh dear. All right, check this out. Right there at the end. Let's look. You can see the shadows of the camera. So they're obviously going to remove the shadow of the camera in some way, or just choose a shot where the light's not being casted on it. But take a look at that. Watch, you can see there it is. The shadow on him from the camera. Gosh dang it. Ooh. That's not all. That's not all. They also do a crazy stunt underwater. Take a look at this.
Everything we're doing is underwater. We all know it's a dangerous environment. We've developed hand signals underwater, talking to understanding depth or frame, do it again, all of these things. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Back to one.
Honestly, like, I love that they take action flicks so seriously. Like, this is treated almost like a military operation, the way they film these, right? The amount of professionalism and care and seriousness that Tom Cruise and the whole crew, the director and everybody brings to the Mission Impossible productions, it's like all I can say is that it is the highest form of respect. It's extremely respectful to the audience. It's also kind of entertaining to know that, like, all of this serious energy is just for, like, a fun action flick movie. But if this is your life, which honestly on some level it's mine too, production entertainment, I get it. I definitely like the value it adds to the field.
Rolling.
We have different signals for performance. Close up, longer, if I'm resting.
Once we got to hand signals, it made things a lot more efficient. But shooting underwater, there's always a sense of danger.
Okay, I think I saw a shot here. So some of this is like in a underwater tank, right? But I believe there's a shot in here somewhere that shows the tank that, there it is. So I believe this tank right here, this is like a cylinder tank that they built to be partially filled with water to represent the inside of the submarine that's going to be in this film. And it's on a rotating axis, right? So it can do full rotations. And they put Tom Cruise in there to do certain stunts. I'm guessing underwater, the submarine is going to roll. And Ethan Hunt as a character is going to be in there trying to fight for his life and probably either fight an individual or get whatever he needs out of the submarine. But it's super fascinating, a mix of underwater shooting. They even have the director underwater checking out the view monitor. Let's see.
We have different. It made things a lot more efficient. But shooting underwater bears
Look at that.
sense of danger.
That's crazy. They're literally watching the monitor down there, communicating to Tom, right? It's almost like, hey, if Tom's going to be down here acting, then I have to be down here directing too. What an incredible lifestyle of production these folks lead. And then obviously the really big production stunt that everyone's going to be anticipating for this film.
3, 2, 1. You can't imagine how physically punishing it was for Tom to be on the wing. The wind distorts your vision. It's almost impossible to breathe.
Oh, dear. All that's real. All that's extremely real. He's flipping around. He's doing whatever he needs to for the shot. And look at the attachment right there. Right there. He's attached by one. Okay, is he attached on the top and bottom? Okay, it's possible. I don't see. It looks like he's attached on the side and on his hip at two anchor points there, right? On his waist. So he can rotate around, right? So, and there might be obviously like different points where he's anchored differently throughout this shot, but my goodness, the idea of flipping around and holding on to an airplane as it's, all over the place. In the trailer, you see the shot of him holding on to the side as it's flying all over the place. This is going to be a really exciting film. And all I have to say about it is like, take notes, right? Filmmakers, we get so soft. I feel like filmmaking in Hollywood is so soft these days. Everything's just about the drama, or everything's just about, I don't know, like the cool tech you can include. And the thing is, I love all that. I love filmmaking. I love all of the geeky aspects of new technology and intrigue story and whatnot. But sometimes you just need an action flick where it's authentic. And I don't mean the Fast and Furious nonsense. I'm not talking about the Marvel superhero genre nonsense where it's just all green screen and I love the volume, but honestly, just like volume technology too, sometimes you just need authenticity. And when you have someone going out there doing all these stunts like Tom Cruise, it's like, of course I'm going to support this film. Out of all the films that I'm going to watch in IMAX or spend money on this year, I'm going to go see Mission Impossible 8, the 8th edition of Mission Impossible, of the story of Ethan Hunt, because I always have a good time. And I feel like as an audience member, I am extremely respected in the process, right? And you can tell, I mean, even they take so much serious professionalism into the production of filming these scenes. And I can't not reward it. That's what I think. All right. Let's jump into Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves and the Batman. So apparently, someone started a freaking rumor that Matt Reeves was not going to be a part of the Batman Part 2. Now, I know the internet probably is a little split on the Batman. I think a lot of people liked it with notes. I think a lot of people hated it. Maybe because of Robert Pattinson. I don't know. There was a lot of aspects that people had issues with. But one thing that almost nobody had issues with is the Penguin show. you know? If you guys watched it, it's a show that bridges the first Batman film with the second Batman film that's going to be coming out in 2026. And it's called The Penguin. Everybody who watches this show loved it. It's on Max. I think it's 8 episodes long, and it's about the Penguin. It's literally a week after the events of the end of the first movie. And then it lasts, I don't even know how much time passes in the Penguin show. All I know is that it was a thrill ride. I'm pretty sure it's a few months. It's a little while. And then Batman Part 2 is going to pick up from there. Matt Reeves has always talked about he has a vision for a trilogy. He went into the first movie with the idea of a trilogy, and someone presented, hey, you should build out some of these characters that you're including in the Batman story. So like the Penguin, right? I think they're probably going to build out the Joker character. Now, there's people that have issues with the Joker from Matt Reeves' Batman. Some people say it's just a grotesque version of Heath Ledger. Some people say it's a little too loony. I don't really know. I don't feel like we've had enough screen time to get a really good handle on it. But I will say it definitely is a new vibe, and it kind of fits the Gotham that Matt Reeves is creating. I really enjoy this. As far as aesthetic, as far as villains, especially with the Penguin and Falcone, I'm more invested in this Batman story than I was in the Dark Knight trilogy. I just am. And then it also has, not to say I think that Matt Reeves is a better director than Christopher Nolan, but I will say that I'm just more invested in this Batman story, as long as Part 2 doesn't drop the ball. Because I thought Batman Part 1 was pretty darn good, probably slightly better than I thought Batman Begins was. And then we have The Penguin Show, which is a beautiful bridge that I think honestly was a flawless series. I don't think there's been anything as good as The Penguin in recent years. And then we're going to get Batman Part 2, potentially another show to bridge the third film. But with all of that said, there was a rumor that went around that he was pulled from the Batman Part 2, and everyone was asking, hey, is Matt Reeves going to be a part of the Batman trilogy, the Batman franchise that he's building out? And the real answer there is, of course he would be, because it's his Batman. They're not just going to revamp Batman when they already have freaking 4 or 5 different versions across cinematic history, 4 to 5 live-action Batman stories, and they're redoing another one. Why? Why would they do that? It's because we have a new creative vision of what Batman and Gotham could be, right? That's the only reason to do it again when we have it over and over and over again. So people were tweeting at James Gunn. If you don't know James Gunn, he's like the VP of the DC universe at the moment. He's going to be managing it. He's trying to resurrect the DC universe because they've had so many failures as of late, so many kind of just fall-offs. And someone asked, hey, James Gunn, is Matt Reeves still directing the Batman Part 2? He said, yes. Huh? Back in, I believe it was November of last year, there was the same rumor going on that he wasn't going to be a part of it, and James Gunn cleared it up. He's like, of course, Matt Reeves is going to be a part of it. If it was canceled, it would be canceled. Who has time for charades? I've been one of Matt's biggest cheerleaders for years. Since Cloverfield and the Apes movies, we are eagerly awaiting his script. Now, the thing is, I feel like when it comes to Matt Reeves as a director, I think that Matt Reeves has a aesthetic and a pacing that really resonates with the way I enjoy stories. It is a very grungy, very earthy, but dynamic style. And the pacing, like the Planet of the Apes movies, especially Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movies, are incredible. Like, flawless. And the Batman, bringing in like Greg Fraser to do the cinematography on the Batman, flawless. His directing is really good. Now, I will say there are moments in a story, like in the first Batman, that I do have notes for. There's moments in like the third War of the Planet of the Apes film that I have notes for. But ultimately, like, there's not a whole lot for me to complain about because it's just really good storytelling. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring up the fact that, like, of course, he's going to be a part of it. And James Gunn seems to be right there with him. And if they were to say, hey, the Batman Part 2 needs to have a new director, I don't think it would survive. I don't think they would even try it out. I think DC's kind of in a place where they're not trying to take any big risks. I think they're trying to play it pretty safe. And if people sort of enjoyed the Batman Part 1 and then the Penguin, which was produced by Matt Reeves, is still in his story, I just don't see why they would risk it and risk it on a new director. And honestly, like, when it comes to it, James Gunn, he's kind of... Matt Reeves, in my opinion, is a superior storyteller to James Gunn. I know James Gunn made some entertaining, funny, Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And he made the studios a lot of money, which gave him the position he's in now. I just don't think he's necessarily as good of a storyteller as someone like Matt Reeves. I really respect Matt Reeves. Everything that I've seen of his, I either respect it or really enjoy it. And so, of course, Matt Reeves is going to be a part of probably Part 2, definitely Part 2. And probably Part 3, I don't see why on earth, if Matt Reeves has a desire and a vision to do 3 Batman films, why would you ever rip that away from him? Of course not. That would be just foolishness, in my opinion, for sure. All right. Also, if you haven't already, you're watching this on Rumble, YouTube, X, or Spotify. It doesn't matter where you're listening or watching this. Go ahead and follow or subscribe. I would really appreciate you sticking around. I try to do these as often as I can, create content around filmmaking and also looking into the future of filmmaking and seeing the type of movies that are being made, seeing what's going on around the industry of filmmaking and storytelling, seeing what type of stories are being made, what kind of movies are being made, in order to see, like, hey, how is the industry moving? What are the tastes of the audience? What are the tastes of the filmmakers? Are they at odds right now, right? The filmmaking world is expanding so quickly, and it's so important, especially for not just people who love filmmaking, not people who just love movies, but also for independent filmmakers, also for the future filmmakers that are maybe in college or high school right now. It's really important to identify where this art form is going, because there's always going to be people that love this art form and want to be a part of it, but sometimes it's very difficult to navigate. And that's the value I want to bring. Also, just information and whatnot, and just have a good time talking about movies. So if that's your thing, definitely follow or subscribe wherever you choose to watch or listen. Now, the Conjuring universe. I think there's been like 8, 9 something films in this story. I remember I was pretty young when the first Conjuring came out. The first Conjuring film, I remember the clapping hands in the basement, right? And that was so creepy to me. And then it got, even more creepy with the Annabelle. And I think, honestly, out of all of these films, and I've watched, I believe, all of them, I don't think I've missed any of them, Annabelle Creation was kind of the best. It was actually spooky. The rest of them are kind of just, it's always the same jump scares. There's nothing really haunting about it. It's just about, like, when's the jump scare coming, right? And these are always supposedly based on true stories by Ed and Lorraine Warren. the real people, and they always are taking like the stories that these two individuals had or were a part of, and then amplifying them way past what the actual facts of the story is. But it's interesting. I have enjoyed the thrill in the moment, but when I finish the film, I'm always just a little disappointed, to be honest with you. I'm always just a little disappointed when I come to the end of either The Nun, The Conjuring, Annabelle. I'm just never really fully invested. And I think The Nun and The Nun 2 was just really bad. It just really was bad. It wasn't frightening at all. It's just very out there. And I don't mean to be just a Debbie Downer about this, because I've watched all of them. And I think I watched them because I'm curious. I'm like, hey, is this one going to be really good? Is this one actually going to be a bit more haunting? Is this one actually going to live up to the hype for the type of genre we're living in, right? We're supposed to be living in, horror, demon possession kind of vibes. And I always feel like I watch it and I'm just kind of shrugging my shoulders. Like nothing about it was frightening. Nothing about it was really exhilarating. There's a few moments here and there, but ultimately it kind of ends in a strange way. This film, The Conjuring, Last Rites, is apparently the last case that Ed and Lorraine Warren had, or at least the one that they decided that this was it. And it seems almost a little bit like there's going to be a lot to this film. There's definitely going to be a lot to this film. Now, I believe the text on the trailer says, let's see, discover why this case was their last. All right, so I did a little bit of digging. Just a little bit. I did just a little bit of digging, and I wanted to see what the actual case was that was indeed their last. And it's based around the Smurl family. The Smurl family haunting. This one's a bit strange because apparently the Smurl family for years lived in a house that they were convinced was haunted. And Ed and Lorraine Lauren came to discover, by their own word, that there was a demon and like 4 spirits living in the house with them. Apparently, it's like the spirit of an old lady, of 2 younger spirits, a man that was killed, I guess, in the house, and then just a straight up demon. That's apparently what I believe, for what I gather, was what was conspiring in this. And if you watch it from that perspective, the trailer starts to make sense. I don't mean to spoil too much, but that's apparently what you get here. I mean, there's literally a shot, a jump scare in the trailer of a old woman, creepy looking face. Where can I find it? Where was it? Here it is. Let's see. So a floating baby doll. That's probably one of the kids that's holding the baby doll. And there's the old woman right there. You see what I'm talking about? So you start to pick up what they're going with here. Let me see if I can find a picture of the Smurl family. If I can't. Let's see, the Smurl family. Maybe I'll drop it in a later time. Maybe I'll drop it in at a later time. But the Smurl family is what this last one is about. And apparently, from what I read, I don't really know why this was their last. I think they're kind of hyping it up, as they usually do with these films. But we'll see. We'll see. This film is always, this franchise is always seems to be delivering a lot. Like if you watched The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, really dull. Like that one really crashed out. I don't know if anyone really enjoyed The Devil Made Me Do It. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Conjuring universe, if it interests you, because my goodness, not impressed. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch Last Rites. Probably not going to go to the theater to watch it. I'd rather just stream this thing because they've all been so disappointing. Why would I go and try to experience this film when I'm so disappointed with the franchise as a whole, to be honest with you? But I'm curious if you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know why you like it, why you don't like it. Let's interact about it over there because I'm definitely curious about what you all have to think about it. Because I just kind of have bleh or disappointed feelings. Or just kind of like, that's kind of fun, but that's it, right? Nothing too exhilarating. All right. The last thing I promised we were going to talk through. And this is actually very important. This is actually incredibly important for people who love film, for people who keep in touch with the film industry. Listen, if you enjoy movies, if you are a person who's like, hey, I keep up with the film industry as a whole, the craft, what's going on, how is AI interacting with filmmaking and movies? Well, I think these are signals, okay? This is a signal as to where the art form, as to where the entertainment path, right, is going. And it's not to say like, hey, this is like a fundamental change of the industry, but what it is a signal as to where it's going. Okay, if you all haven't noticed, Netflix has kind of been slowly changing their content strategy. Think about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, right? They're doing live events, even though that was a complete failure because the bandwidth was so incredibly low, you couldn't even watch the fight. It was so disappointing. But they're trying. Netflix is trying to change their streaming strategy. And you've also probably heard that Netflix is now doing like kind of game-related stuff on the platform. Now they're in literally just the past few months, they've brought Miss Rachel, the kids person, the lady who entertains kids on YouTube. They've put a bunch of her stuff on Netflix so that kids will watch Miss Rachel on Netflix. And even though it's also on YouTube, they might choose to go to Netflix over YouTube, right? They had an episode of Kill Tony. Kill Tony, the popular live podcast that's been happening for like well over 10 years, Kill Tony. They now did a whole episode for Netflix, so it's kind of like a Netflix special of Kill Tony, but it's kind of podcast-like, right? It's sort of like comedy special a little bit, but in a way it's also kind of like podcasts. And there's an element of this that Netflix is trying to slowly morph into what YouTube already is, which is a very strange concept if you think about it. Listen to this. The streaming giant is overhauling its homepage with major redesigns heavily inspired by social media apps. In the coming weeks, Netflix will roll out a cleaner TV interface with more visual elements and contextual call-outs like Emmy Award winner, while the mobile app will feature a TikTok-style vertical feed for swiping through clips. Swiping through clips? What does that mean? Live events and games are getting pushed to center stage, a clear signal that Netflix wants to be your one-stop entertainment shop beyond just binge-watching crime documentaries. On top of all that, an open AI partnership will power a conversational search function that responds to mood-based queries like show me something like Stranger Things, but less scary and set in summer. Translation, Netflix is officially done obsessing over subscriber numbers and is now playing a new game, desperately trying to keep your eyeballs from wandering over to YouTube or wherever shiny app is stealing attention spans this week. All right, so Netflix is trying to enter the game of attention hacking. They're the currency of how many eyeballs are you carrying and holding at once is the currency of the streaming world. And it's always been the currency of social media, right? Engagement. Social media came in and it was like, hey, this is where you interact with friends and brands and companies and everything that you like. And you watch funny videos and it's all like pictures or short form verticals. And then YouTube is the long form platform that's been growing in popularity. And now it's dominating everybody. It's so hilarious. It's like everyone's like, YouTube and Netflix are the top streamers in the world. But if you actually look at the numbers, YouTube is way beyond Netflix when it comes to numbers and money. I mean, YouTube is public source, right? It's content curated by individuals, not an organization. Here's the thing. Netflix is doing, in my opinion, the right thing, but they have to be careful. Let's see some visual examples of what they're actually doing here.
For Netflix's 300 million plus members, the streamer's homepage is as familiar as that iconic tone. But now, its classic interface is getting an overhaul.
What led you to this decision? Because some people would say, why fix what's not broken?
We thought we really need a UI that'll make it easier for our members to find the shows that they want.
Netflix CEO Greg Peters gave us an exclusive peek at the new features, like preview blurbs for each show and personalized badges to guide your choices.
You really care about
the personalized badges is like trying so hard. Like people don't care. People care more about a strong algorithm truly recommending the correct type of content they want to watch over Netflix's recommendation that you watch something because it won some awards or something. You know what I mean? Like people don't care what Netflix wants to recommend you, but maybe it's powered by AI, but I doubt that aspect is. The search is powered by AI. An open AI chat GPT kind of thing, where they're collaborating with them to help search and curate content in some level, right? To be more customized. But the badges, who gives a crap? That's an overreach, in my opinion, to try to be more like socially engaged.
Awards. You might get an Emmy winner award here badge.
I've watched every season of Bridgerton, so hey, here's an alert, another season coming.
He says the search tool is also new. Move from the left side to the top. It's more sophisticated, using AI to curate content.
To be fair, who did this first? Who did the run across the top first? Someone else was doing that. There's another streamer that's been doing that for a minute. If I can think of it, I'll shout it out. But there's a streamer that's been doing that for a while. It might be Apple TV Plus. I think it's Apple TV.
Content just for you.
You say like, I'd like something that's uplifting, that's a period piece that involves these elements, and then we can respond with titles that, that work for you in that moment.
Peter says while the new interface will roll out over the next few weeks, an upgrade of another popular feature, subtitles, just debuted, allowing viewers to choose.
How many of you people watch your shows? You can hear fine. There's no issues with your hearing, but you got subtitles on anyway. That has been a slow drip addiction in my life with the subtitles because I used to hate them. I used to hate and ridicule anyone who watched films or shows with subtitles on. And then my wife is a subtitle person because she reads more than she visually processes, I think. And so she always had them on. And when we started dating and when we first got married, like 6, 7, 8 years ago, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be accommodating, so I would let her have it on. And over the years, it just kind of wore on me. And now I'm just kind of like, throw it up there. I might miss something that they said, and I don't, or if they have a heavy accent, I don't want to miss something. So I'll just read it, which honestly, I hate that about myself, but I feel like everyone has subtitles on.
Between captioning for dialogue with background sounds or just dialogue alone.
How often are your users activating the subtitle feature?
Maybe surprisingly, around half of the hours that are viewed on Netflix are viewed with subtitles or with closed captioning. So it's why we invested in it a lot.
In an economy,
though 50% of everybody uses subtitles.
Where most streamers are struggling, Netflix revenue is up 13%. The company investing $18 billion this year in new content, funded in part by those subscription price hikes that have left some consumers fuming.
Netflix is really out here doing their customers dirty and just being greedy.
Given the stress the economy is putting on so many people, are you comfortable holding prices where they are now for the foreseeable future?
Our job is to keep trying to work to make the service better and then hear from members when, that right moment to make a price change would be. So we're not changing anything in that regard.
A price change. He's saying we're not changing any pricing right now. Let me see. Netflix pricing now. Pricing plans. Let's see. Okay. Your premium plan, $24.99 a month. Standard plan, $17.99 a month. Okay, and then standard with ads is $8 a month. That's crazy. That's crazy. $25 a month for Netflix? For Netflix, that, believe it or not, is freaking $300 a year. $300 a year for just Netflix, no other streamer. Does Netflix have a catalog that's so good that you have to watch, that you have to spend $300 a year? Like, honestly, I would say no. Netflix comes out with a good show maybe twice a year. And they don't have the heaviest hitter movies either. We're honest, like Peacock and Max has the best movies out there. Like the best films that gets released, it's like Peacock and Max. And occasionally, you got Paramount in there because they got the Mission Impossible films. But $300 a year for the premium? Oh, man. And the standard with ads, like, ugh. That's so rough to me. So, I don't know. Let me know what you get. Is it worth it? Because I'm currently paying for the premium, not because I want to or I signed up for that, because I wouldn't have. But I signed up for Netflix maybe 8, 9 years ago. Back when Netflix was only like $9.99 for the best option. Like and they didn't even have ads back then. It was kind of like sharing accounts or whatever, I think. I don't even remember. That was so long ago. I don't even remember the perks. All I remember is I opened the plan and I remember, it's $9.99. It's basically $10 a month. And over that period of time, they've just slowly, over time, occasionally increased the prices, and it's got $15 more than I initially signed up for. And they're very subtle with it. All of a sudden, they just grab the money from your account. Whatever.
He says fans have a lot to look forward to in 2025, like new seasons of Squid Game.
Hold still!
Wednesday,
I'll think of you.
And Stranger Things.
All right, well, let's be honest. Squid Games, okay. Season 1 was good, I guess. Everyone liked it. Interesting. Wednesday, 2 years ago. Stranger Things season 4, 3 years ago. 2 years ago? When did Stranger Things season 4 come out? It's like their catalog is not that amazing. It just isn't. Like when it hits, it hits. We'll be honest. When it hits, it's good. But how often does it hit? Because we'll be in a freaking content desert for months. Just paying that $24, $25 a month. For no good reason, man. For absolutely no good reason. This is why I always thought like a streamer sharing kind of software or program would be helpful. Because say you pay $50 that gives you access to every film and every show on every streamer and catalog, right? Across all of time. $50 a month. That's all you have to pay. And in that, within that $50, you can get access to, let's say, 15, 20 movies or shows that month, right? And you can pull from every catalog across the entire industry and across all of cinema history. That is, that would be worth it, because then it's like, hey, Netflix gets a little cash because they made something good and someone wanted to watch it, right? Not just feeding us garbage inside of their subscription model. Because right now, I think I did the numbers with all of the streamers I pay for. I'm pretty sure I'm paying like $80 or $90 a month for everything. And I don't even have everything. I just kind of have the main ones. And it's really bothersome to me. And I feel like it's a little bit more than cable used to be. Now, granted, you get more stuff than you get on cable, and you get to dictate when you watch a show, but still, that's a price tag, man.
Thanks. And a bigger roster of live content, from sports and music to dating shows.
The dating experiment where finding love is totally live.
And then also talk, I hear, of a singing competition show.
You'll see a bunch of different things from us that we think are well suited to the live event. So that might be those competition shows where, like, at the finale, we're all waiting to see who actually pulls.
Bro, like, honestly, I would be like so much more gracious if the whole thing with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul didn't just happen freaking like 4 months ago. 4 or 5 months ago. That was a complete disaster. That was honestly shameful. Like, you should be embarrassed about that.
It off.
Despite all the success, Netflix has had its stumbles. Technical glitches during live events, enraging audiences, and viewer backlash to hype shows like Meghan Markle's With Love, Meghan.
Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
It's like really bad. I know that Netflix is just trying to recoup the money with hate watching.
Do you all pay attention to the way fans react on social media?
Really, at the end of the day, we're looking at, what is the viewing behavior? Because that's the thing that matters the most. Are we satisfying viewers, and are they watching?
Okay. So are they satisfying viewers, and are they watching? Unfortunately, yes. They are watching. Are they satisfying? I don't know. Here's the thing. Netflix does really wrong things, and they do really right things. Netflix gives awesome opportunities to comedians, like I already brought up with like Tony Hinchcliffe, Kill Tony, right? And they're not afraid about the political narrative either, because, they didn't have to do an episode of Kill Tony after Tony had that huge blow up in the public eye during the Trump rally at Madison Square, I believe is where it was. But they also get so much wrong at the same time. The Meghan Markle thing. Like, people really hate her as an individual. Everyone was like, oh, it's so wrong that the royal family was doing that. And then to find out that, no, she's just a trashy kind of snooty person who did wrong and wrongfully accused the royal family. Now everyone's back on the side of the royals, and there's just this constant war. And then they come out with, like, I don't know, some kind of home decor show for Meghan Markle. It's just a weird vibe. It's just strange. So it's like Netflix is just throwing stuff at the wall. And to go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, Netflix is no longer in the business of saying, we need more streamer. Like, we need more subscriptions to be able to keep creating different shows for people to stream. They don't necessarily need more money at this point. What they need is larger variety. What they need is higher viewer satisfaction. And at the same time, they also want to kind of live in a different world than the rest of the streamers are, because all the rest of the streamers are just trying to do what Netflix has been doing for a long time. Even though I think places like Max, HBO, are creating better quality, better told stories than Netflix is. Not across the board, but they create more better told stories than Netflix tells, right? With more consistency. And I think that's just because there's a legacy of HBO that they just have people that know how to tell stories. They just know how to write well. Whereas with Netflix, sometimes you get a banger and then you get a few trip ups. And with Disney, I mean, they're a lost cause at this point, right? But Netflix has always been trying to innovate, always been trying to move in the direction that's going to make them stand out, that's going to cause them to be the future of where the industry is going. And because of that, they tend to at least point themselves in the right direction. And the direction they're pointing is freaking YouTube, just without it being open source. But on some level, they're flirting with that, bringing in, podcast world, bringing in YouTuber, kids entertainment world. Like, they're starting to fill their catalog with the YouTube style creators, along with the Netflix shows, along with the Netflix films, along with the reality shows and the live sports. Like, they're really trying to hit it everywhere. And I think if Netflix is like choosing an enemy, right? If you ever listen to the PBD podcast, he talks about choose an enemy to like point at and say, I'm coming after them. Netflix seems to have done that with YouTube. And some level, that's actually smart. But will they ever be able to outgrow or beat out YouTube for eyeballs? I just don't think so. And there's one main reason. The main reason is it's not open source. Netflix is not a place that people like me can upload a show to, right? Now, if there ever came a day where it said, hey, we have quality standards, you have to meet these standards, and if you do and you get approved, then you can, publish your own show, kind of like open source onto Netflix, then we might be cooking with gas, right? Then we might be saying, all right, we're getting somewhere here. And maybe they do some kind of rev sharing based on how many people watch it or whatever. But if that's the case, then we actually might have a contender for entertainment. But YouTube's an interesting place because YouTube's not only entertainment, it's also how-to. So you're just competing with a very difficult enemy right now, Netflix, but I think there is validity with what they are doing. And I think if filmmakers or people who enjoy filmmaking or enjoy movies that they watch, you would be wise to see what Netflix is doing and take cues from it. So, for example, some of the best entertainment that the audience consumes, maybe it's not the best, but some of the most consumed entertainment is through places like YouTube. And Netflix, who is the #1 streaming entertainment platform, knows that. They know that YouTube dominates in every capacity. And they know it is that the individual creators, people like Joe Rogan, people like Mr. Beast, people like Casey Neistat, right? People with these huge followings are making a dent in not just like Netflix, but in the entertainment world as a whole. Because they look at their back-end analytics and say, hey, we had a comedy special that is currently sitting at 60,000 views over the past 2 weeks on Netflix. And that same comedian posted a podcast last week that has 150,000 views, that has 300,000 views easy. And their big, expensive comedy special is not getting as many views as their YouTube podcast, right? And so there's serious validity in looking at, hey, what are the options here? Who's attacking who? Who's competing with who? That places especially filmmakers in a position, if you're younger, if you're a filmmaker, that places you in a position to start seeing what are the standards that's being set up for entertainment? What are the standards of the workplace? Where's the money at in the industry? What are the opportunities? How do you build leverage for yourself, right? As an independent creative, how do you take advantage of what is happening right now to grow your own influence, to grow your own reputation, and to build future opportunities for yourself by setting yourself and positioning yourself on the chessboard correctly? And that's really what to consider here. And I think what's super interesting is Netflix is not competing with Disney Plus. They're not competing with Max. They're small kids compared to Netflix. They're going after freaking YouTube. They're going after the entire creator economy of long form content. Netflix says YouTube holds the monopoly in a major way of long-form content because it's tied to the creator economy. It's tied to the creator world, the individual open source creator world. And Netflix is saying, what strategies, what methods do we have to do to come after YouTube and potentially eventually swallow it? I don't think it can be swallowed. I really don't. But if Netflix in like 10, 20 years' time is able to become more powerful than YouTube and swallow YouTube as a whole, and maybe Netflix has a version of open source for creators that create quality content or quality shows, my goodness, who knows what's possible for filmmakers in the entertainment world. It could be a very different world in 10, 20 years' time. So don't get comfortable, stay informed, and subscribe to this channel or follow me wherever you're listening. That's how you do it. That's how you stay informed. Really appreciate you listening. I'll see you next time.